Hello, and welcome to part 2 of And Away We Go. It's just not really a podcast, I guess, more of a YouTube video of anything metaphysical, spiritual, and everything in between. So, any questions that anybody may have about anything that we discuss here, and by we, I mean I, because I'm the only one here, feel free to, like or comment or any of the above, or get in touch with me anyway, and I will be more than happy to either answer or ask someone that does know the answer, because that is what we are here for. And by we, I do mean anyone who has a question or me, and I'll be glad to try to find any help, because in my journey, if I had someone to help me, through something like this, then I was very happy. And so that's what I'm trying to do, is raise the vibration of myself through helping others, and also raise the vibration of the planet by doing good deeds and all of that jazz. So thought that the second video, I was really having trouble with coming up with like the good things. There's so many good things to talk about. There's so many good topic, juicy things to talk about, and I just couldn't decide. And then all of a sudden it just came to me, and I thought, there's so many questions about meditation, and it's like, well, how do you pinpoint or like narrow that down? And that's just it. It's, you start at the beginning, keeping a beginner's mind. So you start at the beginning, and just like with anything that you get a lot of practice with, you want to remember your roots. You want to remember where you came from. And it reminds me of when I was in nursing school, and I started off being a waitress, and then I started being a bartender, and then I was a manager. And I always remember when people kind of started going up the ladder of the restaurant world, they would start changing their attitude and being different towards people that didn't go up the ladder. And I thought, well, that's not cool. Why are you doing that? I remember when you were in that position. So it's kind of the same concept, just keeping that beginner's mind, so that, and it brings me back to that phrase. I don't know who said it, but it's a really good phrase, a really good quote. A wise teacher always knows when to be a student. So, we always have something to learn, and we can always learn something from others. So keeping a beginner's mind in meditation is the number one thing. And a lot of people get the misconception that meditation is just, sitting down in a cross-legged position with your hands like this, like the Buddha behind me, like something like this or something, and just sitting there thinking of nothing. And, that's not really it at all. I mean, it takes practice and everything like that, but there's so many cool things that you can add to it, and make it your own experience, and make it healing for you, and add self-care and self-love, and just so much of a personal experience to make it real to you. And so it's hard to kind of explain in words, but I've been doing it for years, every single day. And like I said, I don't really know the words that I can use to explain, but I keep doing it every day. So, but I do know that I do know some benefits. I do know that it scientific studies from Harvard and some other Ivy League schools have shown that, some benefits for yourself as far as your health and mental health, physical health, and then also the benefit of others. So that's pretty cool that, you're taking the time to do something that benefits the mental health and the physical health of yourself, as well as those around you. And so it puts people like myself in a kind of dilemma, because in the medical field in America, it's big pharma and things like that. So, and of course you want to be professional, and you have to be professional with your patients and your career and look at things objectively, but you also want to have compassion and empathy and things like that. As a Buddhist, I want to be sincere. So it's a real struggle sometimes in that aspect, but I can go on and on about that. So back to the basics of meditation. And one of my dear teachers, who happens to be a Buddhist monk, always says it's a common misconception in America that because the English dictionary explains the word meditation as contemplation, and that's not really what meditation is. So from what I've learned on my journey and in my path, meditation is that, number one, there's all kind of people that come to try out or seek out meditation for lots of different reasons. So it's kind of a hodgepodge of different people. So that's what's cool. You meet a lot of different people that are there for a lot of different reasons, which I truly value. I think that's amazing. And then also, you're not there to do anything. But also in a world that we live in that's so focused on external things, it's really hard to stop focusing on all the external things and really get your mind to sit with your own self. And most people would rather have those external things, or social media, or scrolling through their phone, or any kind of stimuli, because it's hard to sit with yourself at first. It's those distractions that keep you distracted and keep you going and keep you distracted from whatever that void is, or whatever that craving is, or that emptiness is, or that yearning is. And I learned self-love through my breath and meditation. And it sounds so crazy, but again, one of my teachers taught me that, and they said in a meditation that your breath is something that's never left you. It's something that has been there since the day you're born. It doesn't judge you. It keeps performing for you no matter what you do. And for a person that grew up, Catholic, which is not my parents' fault, it's not anybody's fault, it's just when you grow up on a good or bad, feeling like if you do something good or bad, then that you're good or bad, then that's a conditional type of love. So when you understand that there is a type of love that doesn't change, whether you're good or bad, then you start to understand that there's unconditional love. And then when you realize that comes from yourself, your own breath, then you can, understand self-love. And once you can understand that you can do that voluntarily or involuntarily. And then once you can understand that you can control that through meditation, when you're meditating, of course, when you're asleep or otherwise other situations, you don't have control over it. But when you do have control over it in meditation, it's very powerful. And the point in which it returns and goes back out and goes back in is the center of your body, kind of like when you have your finger on your phone and it's in the middle and it balances perfectly. It's in the center. But if you try to place it on the end here, it just falls off because it's not in the center. Well, that's exactly how the center of our body is. And so in the kind of meditation that I've, basically studied my whole meditation career is the Dhammakaya meditation. And that is mainly focused on the center of your body being 2 finger widths above your navel, which is the home base of your body, which is your body's natural resting place, where it's your body's like natural place to rest, because it's the center of your body, right there where your body can just be completely balanced. Completely balanced, and by balanced I mean completely balanced between awareness and relaxation. So as soon as you feel a little bit too relaxed, then you just balance a little more with awareness. And then it's just a nice, easy, gentle awareness and relaxation. And so it's not that you're thinking of nothing. And so when you do find yourself struggling with having a balance between relaxation and awareness, you have tools. And those tools are, your mantra, visualization, or your breath. And then after a while, you realize that you don't need those things either. Those are just anchors, kind of anchors to bring your mind back down to the center of your body. Because again, we have so much stimuli and stuff outside in the world, just like, especially with our eyes. Our eyes are what 80% of our perception and our stimuli is processed through 80% our eyes. So it's nice to close our eyes and use our mind's eye and not use our actual physical eyes. And then when we do that, then we can actually let our mind flow gently and softly, just like a feather, to our body's natural resting spot, the center of our body. And then when it's there, if we find our mind drifting off or getting distracted or bored or uncomfortable from sitting or, any of the 5 hindrances that's a little bit further, but in Buddhism, there's, 5 hindrances that, can hinder us from our meditation and bother us or keep us from focusing or keeping that balance. And it's normal. There's nothing wrong with that. It's normal. So, and when that happens, then we use our tools to kind of anchor our mind back. And so it's just a constant balance. And then when we use that balance in meditation, and then the more and more you meditate and do that, and then you find yourself doing that outside of meditation. And so that's how you start noticing that it's helping you outside of the round, inside and outside the round. So it's really amazing when that starts happening, because that's a big difference. Because then you notice, from what I've learned, I started noticing that, I didn't react impulsively. I didn't react with anger as much anymore. I would be silent more and wait more. I would be kind more. I would show generosity a lot more. that I was always a generous person. I was accused of being generous to a fault. I never understood that. I thought, I'll find a way to show those people that there's nothing wrong with being generous to a fault, because there's no such thing as that, And then I found Buddhism, and I was like, yeah. Yeah. But you find those things, and also physically, as I was saying before, physically, the benefits of meditation, it lowers your blood pressure. It can lower your heart rate. It actually changes your neurotransmitters in your brain. So you can say, well, I've always been that way. Well, that's not true, though. You may have always been that way, but you don't have to always be that way, because we all have the capability, as Dr. Bruce Lipton has told us. And if anyone knows him, you should look him up. You could look him up if you would like to, because he's great with epigenetics, and he's very smart. He's a character, very funny guy, but yeah, there's been lots of studies done all over the place, and that we actually have the capability to literally create our own reality. And so that's a whole another subject too. But again, with meditation, it's just like, you don't even have to sit in this position to whatever. Anything you can, do at any time, even if it's 1 minute out of an hour or something. Even if you're I used to do this when I didn't have time to meditate, or I thought I didn't have time to meditate. Like when I was using the restroom at work, I would just stand in front of the mirror, and I would close my eyes, and I would do some stretching, yoga poses, and I would be like, no, I didn't know I was meditating, but I was like, anything you can do to still your mind and get rid of those external forces and not do anything, and just close out that stuff and just slowly just, that's meditation. And it's another one of my teachers says, it's quality, not quantity. So it's what the quality that you get, not how long you do it. And, and then eventually, bit by bit, you'll want to do it more and more and more and more. And then you really want to get to where you'll want to do an hour a day, and then you'll have to have one retreat a week, and then you'll have to have a weekend retreat a month, and then you'll have to have a week retreat a year, and then it gets on a bit by bit, it gets on and on. But some good things to do, or start with those things: beginner's mind, a little bit at a time, not worrying about the hindrances or distractions, embracing those things as they come along. If you have sounds or people bothering you, instead of reacting to those, just look at those as challenges and embrace those, and remember that people that may be upsetting you or causing you trouble or grief or something, or even anger or irritation, it's okay. That usually, a monk taught me, a Buddhist monk taught me that people that are, your irritation or causing you anger, they're your greatest teachers. So I know that's hard to imagine, but when you kind of shift your perception a little bit, you can really make some big shifts in your energy too. And that's another thing. When you're really highly sensitive and stuff like that, you have to remember to protect your energy, because you can get exhausted. So and some other good things to do if you feel like you don't have time to meditate or something, is, and you're afraid you'll seem weird or look weird or something like that, so you can just do it privately, like I said, in the restroom, or just for a few minutes, or I don't advise it when you're laying down, because if you're lying down, you're most likely going to fall asleep. But that's okay, because the last thoughts you have when you go to sleep, in case you don't wake up, it's a reality, people, we're all going to die. Then at least you'll have some good, positive, peaceful thoughts when you go to sleep. But once you get into your practice, you probably want to sit up so that you enjoy the practice. But some other things you can do to kind of, make a ritual of it, is you can use certain crystals depending on what, meditation. There's lots of different kinds of meditation. Like I said, the only kind of, I've done lots of different meditations. I've done transcendental meditations. I've done visualization meditation. I've done self-hypnosis meditations. And then the one that I, feel like I'm an expert in, but I'm not. The one I resonate most with and have studied most with is Dhammakaya meditation, which just means the middle way. And the reason I like that the most is because it's what the Buddha taught. And he was a pretty smart guy. And he also said that, he was just an ordinary guy. And he would say that, don't believe me, find out, don't believe anything with blind faith, go find out for yourself. And I love that, and he'd say, he actually tried these things out. So he tried complete asceticism, which is just like complete austere living, complete strict, spiritualism. And before Buddhism, believe it or not, there was no Buddhism before him. So he was basically like a yogi, a yoga person. And he did yoga all the time and was in those yoga positions, and didn't eat and starved himself and lived in the woods and, just gave up all his belongings. He was a prince and he gave up all his belongings and just meditated all the time and didn't eat. And basically he almost died. He almost starved himself to death. He almost died. And he was trying to find enlightenment, and he realized that wasn't the way. And then, and then he did the opposite of that. And he, complete hedonism. He had all of his pleasures and his fun and women and everything. And, he realized that wasn't the way. And so then he, found the middle way. Perfect balance. 50-50. Perfect balance of both. And that's why we can apply that to all aspects of our life, because it reminds me of the story of the three little bears. And it's like, that bed's too hard and that bed's too soft, but this bed's just right, And so we can kind of think about that in everything. We don't want anything to be too hard, too soft. We want it to be just right. And sometimes it's really easy to get sucked into the hype and the stimulus and the media. And, sometimes it's easy to believe, what we hear and what we're listening to and get sucked into that. So, and so sometimes we just need to keep ourselves grounded in nature and clear our minds and let it just be still and in its natural home base at the center of our body, and just still, and what helps that is meditation. And, if we can use crystals, or if we can use nature, or if we can use, music, or, whatever healing modalities or, things that you like to use to keep that part of it enjoyable for you is great, But just a little introduction there. And never be afraid to just go back to your breath. I remember the first time I actually remembered to go back to my breath. I was on a trip, driving in my car, on a road trip, and was thinking all these thoughts, and I was having all these racing thoughts, and I thought, just go back to your breath. And I did that. I was like, oh, I just went back to my breath on my own. And, that was years ago. And I thought, wow, that was so cool. I was so happy about that. And so if you can do that, just randomly, then, you're on the right track. So just little things like that. That's on a good path to meditation. And so, keeping the beginner's mind and not trying to make things too complicated. And just, it's know where to go, letting go of all responsibilities, all worries, 50-50 balance between relaxation and awareness. And you'll get there bit by bit. So if anybody has any questions, just let me know. Don't forget to like or comment or get in touch with me if you have any questions or comments. Thank you so much, and away we go.